Before we start, everybody, I want to introduce Rex Maganotti. He is the third salesperson at Graf Pinkert, along with my dad, Lloyd, and I. And today he is the special featured guest host. And we're very, very happy to have Brett May of BME here. He partners with Graf Pinkert sometimes on various jobs for machines with his attachments and other services. So, first, Brett, why don't you tell everybody what your company is, what you do, and then I want to talk about how you got to where you are today, and then we're going to talk about some of your latest and greatest inventions, or innovations, rather.
All right.
So first, what is BME?
Well, BME in short stands for Brett May Engineering, and I shortened it up when I became a C Corp.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do is we build custom attachments for screw machines and all types of machines: Acme's, New Britons, Davenports, Wickmans, Shooties, Euro Churns, ZPS. We build attachments for screw machines. That's what we do.
CAM
Well,
machines.
CAM machines. Well, and some CNC.
Okay.
So that's part of our business. The other part of the business is we're rebuilders of acme-gridleys.
Okay.
So I do special projects for people. We rebuild machines, put special attachments on them, and try to help customers save money in cost of manufacturing.
Okay. Okay.
So we have a full tool room here. I have 5 CNC mills, 2 CNC lathes, a bunch of grinding equipment, jig grinding, everything I need to support building the attachments, where I can build everything here and keep a hold of the quality and the delivery. So,
Interesting.
so
Okay,
we,
Brett, what's your story? Where did you start in the machining business?
well, my first job was actually August 4th. Last August 4th was 40 years. I was 17
Wow.
years old. Yeah, I was 17 years old. I started up at Huron Incorporated up in Lexington as an operator on afternoon shift,
Lexington, what?
Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And I worked there. Well, I was there 3 years, and then I got a bid into the setup apprenticeship program. So I became a setup guy, and I went through their apprenticeship program. I went to college part time, and
What machines were you setting up? Acme's?
Acme Gridleys, yeah, and some Davenports.
Okay.
And so I worked there 18 years, and I quit on my 18th anniversary.
What shop was this?
It's Huron Incorporated in
Okay.
Lexington, Michigan, and I actually left there on my 18th anniversary. I continued on with my education at my local community college, and I earned enough credits to transfer to the engineering program at Wayne State University in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked up a job working midnights down there, and then I was going to Wayne State during the day, in the afternoons, and it was a pretty hectic schedule. And then my kids became teenagers, and so I ended up having to leave school, and I was at a job where I wasn't really learning anything. So I figured that if I couldn't go to college, that I had to be self-taught. So I ended up working for Ivan Doberspike for a while.
Interesting.
And,
Okay.
yep, because I knew I was going to learn a lot. I got to work around with a great guy, Gary Ead. And Todd Coulter is an engineer, and that's where I
So
met
for those
Sharon.
for those people that don't know Ivan Dover Spike, this he was one of the major Acme rebuilders.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And they had lots of projects, lots of special projects, and they needed a setup service guy. And I worked there for a number of years, and then I had bounced around some other shops in Detroit, and then I started my shop here. Actually, in March, it'll be 12 years. So I've been
Congratulations.
on my own now for 12 years. So I bought a couple machines. I bought a mill and a lathe and put them in a barn at home. And I started 12 years ago, and every day I come to work and I'm just celebrating. Last year was our best year we ever had. And every year seems to be more than the last. And we come to work and work every day. We have 12 employees, and we're just trying to support customers and trying to give them a quality solution. You know, I always believe that we didn't need to go to Europe to buy attachments. Somebody needed to build attachments here in the United States. And
right. So you see this as your niche. Basically, we have cam machines that are 50, 60, 70 years old. And they're still relevant today. I mean, first of all, because, you know, they were a good technology that stood the test of time. But now would you say you are keeping these machines relevant?
Well, I try to do my part in that, you know. And you know, when you can build an attachment and save a customer money, so he doesn't have to take that part and put it on a secondary piece of equipment to finish a feature on it, whether it's putting flats on it or doing something special with it, or grooving or drilling or whatever the application may be, then it's an easy sell. You know,
what was the first attachment BME sold?
The first attachment was a synchronous cross drill, where we were drilling 4 holes in a part while it was churning. So we went up over the part and we drilled
on
an acme, and 2 of the holes were offset 8 millimeter than the other 2. And that was the very first attachment that I built. And it works. You know, I've sold several of them and over the years, but we call that one the Mac Daddy.
Why do you call it the Mac Daddy?
That's what my wife named it, because it's complicated. You know, there's like 70 pieces that you have to make to put it together, and it's complicated. So
did this often work where you have somebody who needs to make a job, is trying to set up a machine, and they're stuck, and then they come to you and they say, work your magic?
Yeah, that happens all the time.
So your stuff often, the first time you make something, it's because somebody comes to you with a problem, and that's what spurs on the innovation.
Yes. And maybe right then they don't want to go forward with it, but it gets me thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for example, when all the remember years ago when all the eco brass started coming out, people were having trouble thread rolling eco brass, and there was
the leadless brass.
The leadless brass, mm-hmm. and I had some customers that had Davenports that needed to be able to thread mill, and they didn't have a really good solution for that. So I bought a Davenport, I took it all apart, I drew it up, and I built a thread mill attachment for a Davenport because customers needed to be able to thread mill on a Davenport economically. You know, and that's just one example. There's lots of examples of the same thing. But yeah, new attachments come from people that have a problem and need a solution, and they bring it up to me.
Right. Well, that's the best way to inspire innovation is, you know, the need. Rex, what was the first time we worked with Brett? What was the attachment?
I think that was the back tree pan attachment.
Yep.
So that was the one.
What were they trying to do?
They were trying to put a groove on the back side of a part. It's easy to tree pan from the front, because you've got the end tool slide and you put the tree pan and end tool slide holder. But if you have to go back behind a thread and do an undercut behind that thread, not so easy to do. And Brett designed an attachment to do that. And we've bought, I think, 3 of them from you now, and hopefully more. Plus, I know we're not the only guy buying those types of attachments from you.
Right. I've sold several of them. And you know, the thing of it is with an attachment like that, for that example, you don't really have choices on screw machines to make it. That turns into a CNC job, and then they have to quote it with longer cycle times, and then they may or may not get that work. You know, what attachments do for people is they help people get jobs that they may never have gotten jobs before.
Right. So what I'm gathering is that one of your main goals is to enable people to use the older technology, the CAM machines, so they don't have to buy a CNC machine.
Right, to give them that option. Yep. Yep. Because, I mean, face it, Noah, if you've got to make 3 million parts a year, it's pretty hard to make that many parts on a CNC, right?
Well, a CNC multi-spindle.
Well, yeah, but if you're only getting paid 50 cents for that part, it's hard to justify spending, a lot of money on a CNC multi-spindle. It all depends on the type of work that you have. You can't run 20-cent parts on a $1 million machine because you'll never pay for it, right?
Yeah. And do you feel like, despite the growing use of CNC multi-spindles, I mean, they're all the main builders. They can't even build any fast enough. There's a 1-year backlog, it seems like, on all of them. You feel like there is still a huge niche, or beyond a niche, a huge role for CAM machines. The Acme is still relevant.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I do. And I do know that the CNCs have their place, but there's a whole lot of product out there that's still being built by Acmes, and every time somebody comes up with a report that the Acmes are going to go away, I just don't see it. They've been saying the same thing since the 1980s. When the CNCs first came out, they said the same things. Well, these are going to replace the Acmes, but I don't see that. I don't believe that. And
when will it happen?
Yeah, I don't think it will.
Yeah.
No.
But and you rebuild Acmes.
Yep.
Graf Pinkert, we attempted to do that. Just not a good business for us. Is that is a viable business for you, or is the attachments really where it's at for you as far as the business?
We probably do 60% of our business with attachments and 40% with the rebuilding. I know what the parts cost. I know how much you have to put into it to do it, and
why Acme? Why not a Wickman or a New Britain or a Schutta? Is it just that Acme is your specialty?
That's my background. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that machine inside and out. I mean, I still learn on it, but I mean, that's my core background. So I don't want to. I've been asked about rebuilding the Britons, but I don't know enough about them. All the little things that you need to know. So
which CAM multi-spindle do you think is the best? Well, you have to say Acme, probably.
Yeah, I like the Acme, but there's a New Britain guy will like New Britons too, and they're cool, but I don't know them as well. So we actually build a lot of attachments for New Britons. So
didn't you say you're building a pickoff for New Britons now?
Yeah, that's one of my newer inventions in the last couple of years that we.
New Britain just never really made many pickoffs.
Not too many.
Well, and from what the New Britain guys were telling me, they were really expensive and they were hard to keep lined up. And what we did is we built a weight plate that kind of it bolts onto the dovetail part of the New Britain on the slide, and then you got a square housing kind of like an Acme, and you bore it out in line. So now you have perfect alignment. So what we did is we sized the pickoff spindle to like a 51 New Britain will take a 1-inch Acme collet. So we tried in the 52 New Britain they'll take the 1.25 Acme collet, and the 62 will take the 2-inch. So we have these pickoff kits that we sell to New Britain guys that give them a great pickoff, and it's similar to the Acme design where they use the pistons on the inside of it, but it's easy to maintain. And
how much does one of those go for?
16 to 18,000, depending on the machine size.
Now, do you do anything with the back finish on that too, or you haven't got into that?
I haven't built the back finish yet. We've been asked about it several times, and I quoted it. I just never got an order for it.
Okay.
If I get an order for it, then we'll tear into it. We'll design one, and I definitely could do one. It's just, when your shop is busy, it's hard to. Unless you got an order for it, it's hard to do it.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I mean, if I had time, I would do it, but I just haven't had time to tear into it. It's on my hit list to do. So.
12 people. That is a lot of moving parts, no pun intended.
Yeah, at any given time, there's about 250 different part numbers going on in the shop at any given time.
And are you personally wrenching on the machine, or are you delegating?
I work from 6 in the morning to 6 at night, and I love it. And yeah, I still wrench. I still program I still program the CNCs.
So what is the process like? I mean, okay, I guess if you were to design a pickoff for a New Britain, I mean, you have some things to work off of. How would you do it? Would you go to? Could you find prints for a pickoff for a New Britain that's already been made, or do you reverse engineer it? How does it work? Do you use CAD?
Well, we use the Inventor software. So you're familiar with Inventor? It's similar to SolidWorks.
Okay.
Everything's in 3D. So when we designed the pickoff attachment for the New Britain, I didn't have the design. I quoted it, and I got an order for it. So now we got to do it. So the one thing we have is we have every machine modeled up. So we have the tool zone completely modeled up for that New Britain. So now we know where to start with, right? So then we just design it right there in 3D, on the screen.
Are you usually the mastermind designer, or do you have a couple engineers with you?
I've got a couple engineers with me. I'm more the sketch it out. I'm more the applications guy. I'm not necessarily the guy that puts it all down on paper and makes the prints.
So you're like the Steve Jobs, and then you have other people make your vision happen.
Yeah. You got to surround yourself with people that can help you make it happen. Yeah. And then I go out in the field and I help install them, or I train people how to install them. And if we see issues with the install, or we see issues that we got another tool that we got to clear, then we come back, and it's a constant process with changing prints and updating and learning along the way.
What's the craziest thing? One of them that you have been commissioned to do, and that. Or the craziest thing, or something that everybody thought was impossible?
Well, I talked a customer into an ID thread chasing attachment. So you guys are familiar with the thread chasing attachments because the Wickman probably has one.
They do.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
We built one for an Acme that a guy needed to cut a special 8-pitch left-hand ID thread in a part. He needed to do it fast. He had the ability to make the tools in-house because he had an Inca grinder, and so he built the perishable tools. I built the attachment, so it actually goes into the part and it cuts. It's like a mechanical single point attachment. Mm-hmm. So we call it a thread chaser, but it doesn't pop open like a die head or anything. It's actually a mechanical single point attachment.
So Acmes don't normally do thread chasing?
No, not normally. Well, they do thread chasing with like circular die heads where they thread over the top of a part, but not usually on the ID. But we call it a thread chaser, but it's actually, people would think of as a mechanical single point attachment. So in the beginning, I had some problems with chatter, and we figured out what that was, and we were running about 20 seconds, and the customer was in for a runoff, and he goes, I really need to run this at 10 seconds. I said, let's run it at 10 seconds. And we switched the gears, and the part runs. And, I don't know, you try to build stuff right, and it, you build it heavy duty. I mean, that's the thing about the Acmes is they got it right with their machines.
Right. because they're heavy.
And if you look in an old Acme attachment, what's the one thing you notice about it? They're big, they're heavy, because that's what works. So
it's kind of like the 60s or 50s automobiles versus like
yeah. Look at like a big block engine back in the 60s, right? They were heavy.
Or just the body versus today. You buy an Index and it's got sheet metal versus the raw casting.
It's all fun stuff.
Now I can tell that you're on a high.
It has been, since the beginning, and I really enjoy it. I'm a setup guy. I mean, that's my core background is set up jobs, make attachments for them. We make shave heads, and I make the whole spectrum of parts and shaves and roll blocks and attachments for machines.
How often do you say no?
Huh? How often?
Do you just say no? Or are you one of those people that's just like, yeah, I can do anything. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. The only time I get myself in trouble is when I say no a couple times and the customer begs me to do it anyway, and I know better, and we end up. Now, those are the times that I get myself in trouble. But we work through it, and I do say no sometimes, or try to come up with a better solution for them. And there's sometimes when a customer's asking me and I say, you know what, this isn't the way you should do that. You should maybe try a different approach.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what I appreciate about you. I'll call and I'll send you a print and I'll say, hey, I want to do this. And you'll either say, yep, I can do it. Or you'll say, that's an interesting idea. I'd like to try that, but I can't try it. I can't build a machine that doesn't work, right? Or you'll say, you're insane. This is why it won't work. And in that instance, I get an education. So I always know when I call you, I'm going to get the straight dope. And I really appreciate that about you.
Yeah, but my assumption is sometimes you say it's insane, and then you go back and you figure out it's really not so insane. Is that true?
Yeah, that happens sometimes. Yeah. So we enjoy it.
Tell me about some of the new products you got. You were talking about one earlier. The Illuma line.
Oh yeah, the Illuma line. So this is something that I've kind of. This is what it looks like.
Describe it to the people that aren't watching it.
Well, what it is it's a coolant line, and what it is in the tool zone you got to spray oil or water on your tools. Right? One or the other. So you really have only a few choices. You either have black pipe, which isn't very friendly. You have copper tubing, aluminum tubing, or lock line. But either way, those lines are basically disposable because, like, the copper tubing usually gets messed up with the oil. It turns black because it oxidizes or sulfur attacks it. The aluminum tubing's soft. It kinks. Lock line will work for about a week or two, and then it'll start moving around. So what I did is I came up with I call this a lumen line, and what it is these pivotal knuckles, and you can actually tighten these things up with a wrench, so if a chip hits it, it won't move. And they're
What is it made? It's made of aluminum.
It's made of aluminum. Yeah, I actually just shipped you one today, so you guys could look at it.
Well, thank you.
It's just a brand new product. I'm ready to go to market with it. I'm going to have it in my booth at the PMTS show in April.
Is it patented?
No, it's not patented, but it's pretty cool.
Do you usually patent or ever patent your attachments?
No, I really should, and I haven't. I guess the one thing that would be really cool is to have your name on a patent on the wall. I mean, if somebody wants to take one of my ideas and build a synchronous cross drill, go for it because it's a pain in the butt. I'm not as worried about that because it's such a niche market and there's just so few people that we sell a lot of different products, but we only sell a few of them, to each one. There's a big spectrum.
Right, because it's custom. Yeah.
But personally, I would love to have a patent on the wall. I just never did it.
Which product do you really would you most want to patent?
We came up with a really cool idea for the cam action on a cross drill, and nobody has it. And I really think that I could patent that. The mechanical cam action for the cross drill. I'd like to be able to do that.
The cam action?
It's like a little cam
okay.
that pushes that drill in and out. It's innovative. The biggest thing, I guess, would be to have your name on that patent. I think it would be pretty cool,
Let's go back to this Lumaline you have now.
Yeah.
On the very end of those knuckles, then, can you just get one of those the lock line pieces, the plastic on the very end, so you can change the different type of spraying nozzles?
Well, no, it won't interact with the lock line, but we're coming out with different nozzle tips.
Okay.
Yeah, we're coming up with those different nozzles, and we're actually making a smaller version of this for like the smaller 1/4 inch. You've seen the 1/4 inch lock lines.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually coming up with a smaller version of this for like different applications, and we're kind of excited about this because I actually put these on my CNCs out in the shop, and the guys just love them.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been shipping these to some customers for trials, and I've been getting good feedback with them. So if you take a little wrench and you just tighten these up a little bit, you actually can't move it by hand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't take very much torque to tighten it up. So
is it hard to get in the machine though? Like
it bolts right in just like your normal line was. And I have different.
But I mean, in a normal line, you can just kind of stick your hand in; it'll move like real flexible, right? But if this locks,
this one you're gonna want to take a wrench and just crack it loose to get it out of the way to change your tool. Yeah, that's probably what you mean, right? Like if you got to reach in there to change your tool, you need to move it. So you can actually tighten them up and with your hands, and then they're pretty stiff.
Okay.
But if you want to
so you don't have to have a wrench.
You don't have to. No.
Cool.
So it's kind of neat. I think it's neat. But it gives somebody another option to, if your chips, you got stringy chips, or what that aluminum's like, a lot of times chips will hit your line and move your line. If it moves your line, then you're not getting coolant on your tool.
How do you sell that? By the foot or something? Or
I have pre-set up sections of it. It's basically you tell me how long you want.
Okay.
But see, this is a little different, it seems like, from some of your other products that are just made custom for a specific customer. This is something you can sell. You can just sell to the masses.
Yep.
That's what I'm thinking.
You haven't had many products like that, have you?
No. Well, I mean, we have some. We build a lot of that Empire product line, cutoff holders and stuff. So we do sell that to some CNC people, but yeah, this could go to a lot of different people. So I'm excited about it.
Very interesting.
Now I know you bought out slitters or schlitters, however they.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Schlitter tool. The end of 2016, I purchased Schlitter tool from Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Now how's that been?
It's been good. It was a big undertaking in 2017 to start building that product line up. But the one thing about Schlitter tool that I wanted to do with it personally is I wanted to improve the quality of it. And like the other day, you and I were talking about shade blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, Rex and I were talking about shade blocks, and it was like the one thing that they used to do with a shade block is they took a piece of 1018, they cut a key in the bottom, they drilled a hole, they put the clamp in it, but it was never really square and really made right. What we do differently now is we buy a piece of 4140, we rough mill it all, and we heat treat it, and then we grind it. And so now the hole is ground. It's a ground hole, and it's perfectly square with the key. So every piece of that product line that was made that we're making, because we're the OEMs now. And I put my name. I put BME Inc. on it. That's my name on there. Mm-hmm. I want it to be the best quality that it can be. So that was a big undertaking.
Yeah, it sounds like you really took it to the next level.
Yeah, that's what's going to keep you in business. If
it's a commodity product, you have to do that.
Right, and I got a lot of competition. There's people making aftermarket stuff, but nobody's making them to the quality that I'm making them. And I'm not afraid to put my name on it. So when you're building something and you're passionate about it and you put your name on it, you want it to be right. and you want it to know that it's right when it leaves the door. Because the last thing that I need is every morning coming in here and have 15 people call me and say, hey, your stuff's not working. With many different attachments as we ship every day, if we didn't build a quality product or continually try to build a better product every day, then I wouldn't be very fun to work.
To me, it seems like, okay, so if you set up a machine, well, I mean, we know the little times we set up a machine, we hate it because, sorry if this isn't good PR, we hate it because then we're responsible. The customer can come back to us and say, why isn't it working? So with all these custom attachments that you sell, you must have to deal with that all the time.
Well, you deal with it all the time if you don't build a quality product.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's the thing that I drive into all my people. That's what's driven me to invest in some of the best.
If you don't make it right, then you're going to have to make it again, basically.
You're going to have to make it again, or you're going to have to deal with a customer that doesn't really want it. And the last thing I want to do is sell a customer something that he can't use or won't work.
Hey, let me ask you something about shaves. I mean, there's everybody under the sun that's made them, and you've made parts for them. The Empire, the Slitter, Pin Style. Mm-hmm. Of your opinion, I mean, if you were going to sell a shave to somebody that he's not going to have a problem with, what are you going to sell him? Like a Model G, or what are you going to do?
It's just, I get asked that question a lot, and it just depends on the shop. You can have a shop that has pin style shaves, and that's what they want. That's what their guys are used to, and that's what I personally like the Empire ones.
Mm-hmm. Hey, dumb it down for me. What's the difference?
Let him tell you. There's lots of...
The original Slitter pin style had 2 guide pins, and the shave goes up and down on guide pins. And we've taken that whole process to another level, and nobody's making them as good as we are right now. But anyway, that's a different story. And then the Empire ones have a box way. It's like a box way. You have 2 gib plates, and you have a side gib, and it's a box way. And then Slitter also made a G series where it's like a dovetail. It's similar to the old Acme dovetail ones, only the dovetail's a lot smaller. And which one works? Personally, when I set up a machine up in my rebuild shop, I'll put Empire ones in there.
Okay, it's good to know.
But I'll also give the customer a choice. What do you like? It's really about what they like and what they like using.
And you make them all. You make the Empire style also.
The Empire and the Slitter style. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Well,
yep.
This has been fascinating. You really are a true guru of cam multi-spindles.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we can't wait to work with you more in the future. It's always been a pleasure, whatever we've done with you, and looking forward to seeing the Illuma line.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited about it. I appreciate
you're going to be at PMTS.
Yep.
Okay. And if people want to find your company online, what's your website?
BME Incorporated.
BME Incorporated.
Yeah, BME Attachments. Actually, BME Attachments.
Okay.
Yeah. And I have a pretty good, decent website. The Illuma line's not on there yet. We're going to get that on there next week. And, check us out. And like I say, I appreciate your business. I appreciate everybody's business. And, we're all in this together. Try to help companies save money. And, you do the same thing, with the Wickman stuff.
Well,
so.
Thank you. And it's been a pleasure, Brett. And I'll talk to you soon. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
All right.
I'll talk to you, Brett. Take care.
Yep. Thanks, Noah. Thanks, Rex.
Bye-bye.
Bye.